Hello everyone, myself Dr. Akansha from the Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Today we'll be discussing about the complications of local anesthesia. Coming on to contents, the introduction, the classification part, the local and systemic complications, and finally the differences. The local anesthesia is the mainstay of pain control for the outpatient oral surgical procedures. Local anesthesia has been defined as the loss of sensation in the circumscribed area of the body caused by depression of excitation in nerve endings or inhibition of conduction process in peripheral nerves. An important feature of local anesthesia is that it produces loss of sensation without inducing loss of consciousness. The composition: local anesthetic drug, that is your lignocaine 21.3 mg per ml. The vasopressor, that is your adrenaline, in the concentration of 1 is to 80,000, 1 is to 2 lakh. Reducing agent is your sodium metabisulfite 0.4 to 0.5 mg. Preservative is the methyl parabene 0.1%. For isotonicity, normal saline is used 6 mg, and diluting agent is distilled water. Coming on to the complications. Complications of local anesthesia can be primary or secondary, mild or severe, transient or permanent, local and systemic. Now, primary complication, that is manifested at the time of anesthesia. The secondary, they are manifested later. Mild complication, as the name suggests, they causes a slight change from the normal expected pattern and reverse itself without any specific treatment. The severe complications, they manifests are pronounced from the normal expected pattern and they require a definite plan of treatment. The transient complications, although severe at the time of occurrence, but they leave no residual effect since they are transient, that is for smaller duration of time. And permanent, they leave the residual effect even though mild in nature. Local, as the name suggests, they are locally at that particular site where you have inserted the needle, so attributed due to insertion of the needle at that site. And systemic, that results from the absorption of the anesthetic solution. Coming on to the local complications, we have needle breakage, persistent anesthesia, facial nerve paralysis, trismus, soft tissue injury, hematoma, pain on injection, burning on injection, infection, edema, sloughing of tissues, and post-anesthetic intraoral lesions. We'll be discussing each one in detail. First is the needle breakage. That's extremely rare and it is reported mostly in when you give inferior alveolar nerve block or posterior superior alveolar nerve block. Now the needle, the most prone area for it to fracture is at the hub or basically at the hub and never along the shaft of the needle. As you can appreciate the parts of the needle in the diagram. Now the factors which include the needle breakage is the intentional bending of the needle or sudden unexpected movement by the patient, forceful contact with the bone, and too fine needle. Now there is a radiograph which is showing prevention. Do not attempt to force the needle against the resistant. Do not change the direction. Do not use too fine needles. Do not attempt, if you are uncertain about the anatomy or the technique or the area, whatever, do not insert a needle to completely to the hub. You should ensure that some part of needle is seen, and never given surprise to a patient with a sudden unexpected needle insertion. Always, as I said, one third of the needle should be in view, so that even if you break the needle, there is some part of it seen so that you can hold it with your hemostat and retrieve it. So whenever such things happens, the coming on to management part, if the needle is broken, remain calm. Do not remove hand from patient's mouth. Put a bite block. And if the fragment is visible, take a hemostat or the Megel intubation forceps, remove it. If the needle is superficial, easily locate through the radiographical or clinical examination. Now the second is the persistent anesthesia of paresthesia. Now, what is persistent anesthesia? When the anesthesia is well beyond the expected duration, or there is altered sensation well beyond the expected duration of anesthesia. Causes can be trauma to any nerve, trauma to nerve sheath, and injection of local anesthetic which is contaminated by alcohol or any kind of sterilizing agent that will result in edema and pressure in the region of the nerve leading to paresthesia, insertion of needle into the foramen, or hemorrhage into or around the nerve sheath. Now the problems inflicted can be self-inflicted soft tissue injury, since the patient is not able to sense, so it can be by biting or thermal or chemical insult, anything. Prevention is strict adherence to the injection protocol, proper handling, and proper sterilization and everything. Management: most paresthesia resolve with 8 weeks without treatment. If damage is severe, it can be permanent. And recall the patient for examination every 2 months. Facial nerve paralysis. Paralysis of some of its terminal branches occur whenever an infraorbital nerve block is administered, or when maxillary canines are infiltrated. The facial nerve branches and the muscles, they get anesthetized. They get paralyzed due to this. So that is when the cause of it is when you administer the local anesthesia into the capsule of the parotid gland. Now the problems faced will be loss of all the motor functions, to the loss of all the facial expressions. During this time, patient will have the unilateral paralysis and is unable to use these muscles because it might be transient. Okay, and the secondary problem is that patient is unable to voluntarily close an eye. So protecting eye is very important, because wrinkling and wrinkling, all such things are not possible. So the prevention is always adhere to the protocol of inferior alveolar nerve, and management is reassure the patient, explain the situation that it will be transient, it will last for few hours or something, and it will resolve with no residual effects, and contact lenses should be removed until the muscular movements they return, and eye patch to protect the eye, and record the patient incident, keep it on follow up. Trismus is defined as a prolonged tetanic spasm of the jaw muscles by which the normal opening of the mouth is restricted. That is basically a locked jaw. That is due to trauma to the muscles or blood vessels in the infratemporal region, or there is excessive volume of LA if you have administered. There is multiple needle penetrations, and hemorrhage can be a cause. So the prevention is use a sharp sterile disposable needle, and care should be taken to handle the local anesthetic cartridge. Use an aseptic technique, atraumatic technique rather I would say. Use a minimum volume of local anesthetic. Avoid repeated injections and multiple insertions into the same area. And the management part is heat therapy, warm saline rinses, analgesics. Since it is muscle spasms, you need to give muscle relaxants. Okay. Then the next is a soft tissue injury, that is self inflicted trauma to the lips or tongue. Most frequently it is when your soft tissues are still anesthetized and the patient is not able to sense it. Mostly in younger children and mentally disabled children. The primary cause is a soft tissue anesthesia. Problem is swelling and significant pain. Prevention: a cotton roll, warn the patient and guardian against eating, drinking fluids, biting on lips and tongue to test for anesthesia. A self-adherent warning sticker may be used on children. Management part: analgesics, antibiotics, lukewarm saline rinses and petroleum jelly. Hematoma, that is the effusion of the blood into the extravascular spaces, from the intravascular to the extravascular spaces can result from the nicking of the blood vessel during the administration of the local anesthetic. Tissue density causes the large hematoma from arterial or venous puncture. From mostly the hematoma is encountered in posterior superior alveolar nerve block. Okay, because there might be a damage to your venous pterygoid plexus in that region. So the most frequency of occurrence is more with the posterior superior alveolar, then with INB, then mental or incisive nerve block. Now the features of PSA nerve block: visible swelling extraorally. In INB you find intraoral swelling, and in incisive nerve block there is intraoral discoloration and swelling. Prevention is your knowledge of the normal anatomy, and modify the injection technique and use short needles for posterior superior alveolar nerve block to decrease the risk of hematoma. Minimize the number of needle punctures into the tissue and never use a needle as a probe in the tissue. That's very important. Management is direct pressure to the site of bleeding, and for the infraorbital nerve block, pressure is applied to the skin directly over the infraorbital region. For PSA, pressure to the soft tissue in the mucobuccal fold as far distally in the medial and superior direction. Advise the patient about possible soreness and limitation of the movement. Do not apply heat for the area for at least 4 to 6 hours after the incident. Ice has to be applied. Heat can be applied after 24 hours, because the heat will serve as analgesic, as well as it will help in the vasodilatation, following the vasoconstriction which was because of the ice which we have applied. Pain on injection can be best prevented through careful adherence to the basic atraumatic injection technique. The causes can be careful injection technique and too often become self-fulfilling. A needle can become dull from multiple injections. Rapid deposition of local anesthetic solution, needle with barbs, or that may produce pain when withdrawn from the tissue. So the problem is pain on injection increases the patient anxiety, and that may lead to sudden unexpected movement and increase the risk of needle breakage. The prevention is, again, proper technique should be followed, both anatomical as well as psychological. Sharp needles should be used. Topical anesthetic should be used properly before the injection. Sterile local anesthetic solution. Inject local anesthetic slowly. Okay. Now the eighth one, that is burning on injection. That's not very much, it's not uncommon. That might occur. Now the cause is the pH of solution being deposited into soft tissue. The pH of plain LA, that is without the adrenaline, is 6.5, and with the vasopressor or with the adrenaline is 3.5. So rapid LA injection apically in the denser tissues and contamination of LA cartridges. This may lead to the burning on injection. Problem is tissue irritation, tissue damage. So prevention is buffering the LA solution. Ideal rate is 1 ml per minute. Don't exceed 1.8 ml per minute, and don't store it in alcohol or any kind of sterilizing solution. Infection, extremely rare. Causes, that is contamination of the needle, improper technique, improper tissue preparation for injection. Contamination of needle or solution may cause a low grade infection. So when placed in deeper tissues, it might cause trismus. Prevention is use sterile disposable needles, properly handle them, use proper care, proper tissue preparation before the penetration. Edema, that is the swelling of the tissues. Now that causes are trauma during injection, infection, hemorrhage, allergy, or injection of the irritating solutions. Problem can be airway obstruction, pain, and dysfunction. Proper care for the handle and the local anesthetic armamentarium. Use atraumatic injection technique. Complete and adequate medical evaluation of the patient before any kind of drug administration. Management of the cause of the edema. Trauma, no specific treatment. Hemorrhage, edema resolves slowly 7 to 14 days. And infection, edema may become intense if not treated. So it's if not resolved in 3 days, administer antibiotics. Coming on to sloughing of tissues, prolonged irritation or ischemia of the gingival soft tissue may lead to the number of unpleasant complications, that is Basically, a slough is what? That is the epithelial desquamation, or it may lead to the sterile abscess formation. Now, the causes of epithelial desquamation is application of the topical anesthetic to the gingival tissue for prolonged period, or there is a heightened sensitivity of the tissues to this topical anesthetics, reactable in an area where topical has been applied. Sterile abscess is secondary to the prolonged ischemia resulting from the use of local anesthetic with vasoconstriction. Usually develops on hard palate. Pain, infection are the problems which we encounter. Prevention is use of topical anesthetics as recommended. Allow to contact the mucous membrane 1 to 2 minutes to maximize the effectiveness. When using vasoconstrictor for hemostasis, do not use overly concentrated solutions. Post anesthetic intraoral lesions, the last one in the local complications of LA. Approximately 2 days after injection, recurrent aphthous stomatitis, mostly on mucosa not attached to the bone. Herpes simplex, that is your viral etiology, trauma to the tissues by needle, LA solutions, instruments may activate. Late form of disease process that present tissue before injection. Problem is sensitivity. Management is the topical anesthetic. You can give lidocaine application. Coming on to the ocular complication, uh, there might be ocular complication, though very rare, and the treatment of this is reassure the patient that it is transient, and basically the cause is due to the inadvertent injection into the orbit through the infraorbital fissure, that is during your IA and B. So prevention is aspirate always before injecting local anesthetic. Inject it very slowly and keep your patients or follow up. Refer to patients to ophthalmologist for evaluation for last more than 6 hours if the ocular complications last. Ocular complications that we encounter can be diplopia, as you all know, that's double vision, ptosis, that is drooping of the upper eyelid, mydriasis, that is pupillary dilatation. So this is a very rare complication not mentioned in your textbooks, but I feel that is one of the complication that we should know.